Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Where's Carl? Here on the Monkey Caviar Podcast Network. I'm Tiny, your host. With me with the Woot Stout, Adam Levy. Adam, how are you tonight?
I'm going to be feeling really good here in about 20 minutes.
You got the Woot Stout rolling.
You mentioned earlier online about changing the name of our show. Is that still an option?
Where's Judith? Yeah, where's Judy? I like Where's Judy.
We might need to call it Where's Rick?
Yeah, well, gone. So we didn't get to talk before the show like we usually do. We usually get a couple minutes. I was running a little late tonight, so I have heard nothing of your opinion, and I want to get right into it.
Let's see. It was about 45 minutes of boredom and disappointment, and then we got to a point where I was actually satisfied, and then they ruined the whole fucking thing at the end.
All right.
So yeah, a little bit of a letdown.
Okay. I have a different opinion. First of all, I had a very Christmas Carol. Tonight you'll be visited by 3 ghost vibe.
Okay.
And then you know, I wanted him to die heroically, but not overly heroic.
Yeah.
So all right. So it was a bit sappy, and the bridge blows, and everybody's saved. And I did enjoy the lemur walkers on fire falling into the river.
That was pretty good.
That was very cool. And then they fly him off into space because it's lonely out in space. And he takes off with Jadis. And right there, if they would have stopped the episode, I'd have been very disappointed. They come back with that little coda at the end, and they have
the time jump.
The time jump, and I was hoping for something that was tasty, and I got it. I'm happy.
No, the very ending was good. I mean, we knew the time jump was coming because that's what happened in the books. You know, there was a time jump, but it happened a lot sooner after All Out War in the comic books. You know, it to me, it seemed like these first 5 episodes were really just to get rid of Rick.
Yeah, it feels that way.
It didn't really do anything with the story because, you know, there's nothing been resolved. You know, we're jumping ahead probably like 5 years, I'd say 5 to 6 years with
6.
Yeah, with as old as Judith is at this point. Yeah, at least 6 years. So like we never got a resolution of what happened at the camp when the Saviors showed up with some guns, other than the fact we saw some dead bodies when Rick rolled through there. You know, we don't know really what happened there. As far as the descent between the communities, you know, I'm assuming when we get to the time jump, everything's going to be hunky-dory with all the communities. They're all going to be living peacefully and things are going to be great. You know,
I don't know about that at all.
Well, I think at the point in the comic books, though, when they did the time jump, like all the communities were living together, happy and thriving.
And that may be where it's at. I don't know. But if it is, I'm okay with it because there's a time and a place for a big jump. And, you know, we were getting there when Carl was growing up. He got to be too old to do the young thing anymore.
Yeah.
So they did a little time jump, like 1.5 years or 2 years. So this
but even those little time jumps didn't like really advance the story. It was just like, okay, you know, they've been living here in Alexandria for a year, you know, and here's where they're at now.
And these 5 episodes were all about getting Rick out of this picture. So that's fine. Now the story can move forward. And just the stories that we gave us for 5 episodes were just shit. It was just filler. And
it really was, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of blows. But at least it's set up. I think Carol and Ezekiel are still going to be a thing 6 years in because they've set all that up. So why would they destroy all that?
No, I get. Yeah, I'm feeling some of the stuff they set up we'll still see in this time jump. You know, but like I said, you know, some of these things, like, you know, they were trying to build towards, you know, getting these communities together, but there was still that big rift between some of them. You know, Maggie had her issues with Rick and their camp with Negan, and we saw a little bit of that there in this episode.
I want to talk about that. I got a lot to say.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we got some stuff to say about that.
Some fucking bullshit.
Seriously. You know, there was one thing they could have done to make that scene better, and if had they done that, I'd have been really impressed.
Which would have been what?
As soon as Maggie walked out, have Negan start laughing.
Yeah,
because Negan had just played the shit out of Maggie at doing that.
Yeah,
but to see Negan all broken like that, I mean,
sucked.
It sucked.
Didn't like that at all.
Negan is still, even in jail, Negan is still a proud man. You know, he still had his air, about him. But to see him that broken and destroyed,
I know, it's horrible. And then we don't even get to see him revel in it. Then we get a 6-year time jump, and he still appears to be in the cell because they showed the next 3 episodes trailer at the end of it. So he still appears to be locked in jail, which is that's a pretty long sentence for a couple of murders. I mean, let's be fair, OJ was out earlier than that.
If he had Johnny Cochran, he wouldn't even seen the inside of a cell.
Yeah, well, he had Maggie in her crowbar, whatever.
And a crowbar is a poor substitution for a baseball bat.
You don't watch The Talking Dead, so you don't.
I don't.
This,
but I did see the big reveal, on the on the websites and stuff this morning about Andrew Lincoln's interview and what's coming next.
Yes, so they're doing movies for AMC, and they're going to be standalone movies, and they're going to tell what happened to Rick, and more. Scott Gimple said we're going to see characters that are gone. We're going to see their past and how they got there. So they're going to do some prequel stuff. They're mining that like Game of Thrones at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean,
as many stories as you can get, and there's plenty of stories to tell.
Like I said, like a month or so ago, in an interview they were saying that they've got like the next 10 years planned out. So, the movies make sense. Telling prequel stories makes sense. I mean, they even did some of that in the comic books. There was like the Negan back issue. There was the Michonne back issue. What kind of showed their past and how they got to where they are. I think there was a governor one too. There was a novel about the governor, about how the governor came to be the governor. So seeing some of that backstory would be kind of interesting.
That'll probably end up being a movie or something.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that. That's fun stuff. I liked the scene with Sasha, and amongst all the dead bodies, 2 things stood out for me. One, that the callback to the doors in the opening episode, but this time it was the don't was scratched out, and it was
crossed out. Yeah.
And they were dead outside, not dead inside.
Yeah.
And it says, it's okay because you did your part. We all did our part. And that is because we don't die, which is a big thing with Morgan, and, we don't die. And what they make it a much more grand scope, as it's not you and me, it's we, like humankind, mankind. Still, we don't die. We'll still be here no matter what.
And here's the thing: like, the flashbacks all seem to be leading Rick to the point where it's okay to let go. I mean, that's kind of what I got. Like the one with Shane, which was probably one of my favorites, because it was great to see Shane back. But I mean, Shane just like Shane laid it. Yeah, but Shane's like, look, he's like, you needed to be me, and you became me. He's like, that's what you needed to lead this group. If you got rid of me, you needed to become me. That whole little thing about making those hard choices is like, that's what I was doing. He's like, when you got rid of me, you had to start making those choices. The one with Herschel was great too. It was nice to see him, one last time.
That was a very good apology on Rick's part. Just, I'm really sorry what happened to you. And because he brought that shit to Herschel's doorstep.
Yeah. I mean, and if you look at it, I mean, Rick is responsible for, in a way, he's responsible for all 3 of those characters' deaths.
And in a way, he's responsible for where we are now.
Yeah,
everything that's happened is Rick's fault.
Yeah. I mean, and he even said, like, I never asked for this, and he's like, yeah. And I think Shane even said, like, yes, you did. You took this. When you killed me, you asked for it.
You did ask for it. The Shane thing ran funny to me because it started with the busting of the balls and like, how's my daughter? And you're looking for your family. Don't you mean you're looking for my family?
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun to see Barenthal bust his balls a little bit.
And each of those three scenes had a different theme. You know, the one with Shane was about Rick becoming who he was. You know, the one with Herschel was about Rick looking to give up, apologizing, and looking like he's like, look, you know, do you think I could find my family here? Do you think that this is where, you know, I could be? You know, that was kind of like, to me, that was Rick saying, you know, if I was to give up, would this be a good place for me to stop? Would I be okay here? And then the third one was basically saying, hey, look, don't feel bad about what you did. And like, you know, everyone's going to die eventually. You know, others inspired you. You're inspiring others. It's okay. You know, and also the whole thing with like, you know, you're not looking for your family. Your family's not lost. Right. You know where they are. You know, and that one again also kind of seemed to like, you know, where she said we don't die, but at the same time, it was kind of like, you've done your part. It's okay to let go.
Yeah, there was a lot of you've done your part and it's okay. Like,
yeah. It built up like Rick was gonna die. From everything they were showing and everything they were saying, Rick was dead. You know, Rick was gonna buy the farm at the end of the episode.
And it hit me this morning, maybe, that those three scenes in particular were not about Rick at all. They were about the fans of the show. And they were telling the fans, it's okay if Rick goes. Like, let it go. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
It really will. Things are going to go. We're going to survive. You know, we're sorry. And, you know, it had to happen. So that's what it kind of broke it down to the audience as. It had to happen. We're sorry, but we're going to continue on.
Yeah.
And I think that was brilliantly played on Angela Kang's part, because you think the whole time that it's about Rick, but it's about you. It's about the viewer.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to fan service. I mean, and I've mentioned this before, you know, when Robert Kirkman started the book, you know, his initial, you know, comment to fans was, don't get attached to characters. There's not going to be around forever. You know, these people are going to die eventually. You know, some sooner than others. Some characters that you really love are going to go. And the show has been no different. You know, they've killed off so many characters that people have liked. You know, it's just, you know, this is the zombie apocalypse. There isn't necessarily going to be a happily ever after for people. You know, it's not like living in like, you know, the old West where, you know, the only thing you had to deal with was like the weather and like illness. Now you've got all that stuff too, plus things that are constantly trying to kill you in large numbers.
But I can revise our ending now.
Okay.
It's Negan and Judith with the ape.
Or what about Judith and the baby that Aaron was taking care of?
Herschel.
Or Herschel, yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, I'd be okay with Herschel too, little baby Herschel.
I'd really like to see Negan and Judith walking with the monkey, though. That'd be the best thing.
Well, you know, you get Negan walking with Judith holding the monkey, and Herschel on Negan's shoulders.
Oh, there you go. You'll get a little horseback ride. Oh, yeah. Kirkman, I hope you listen.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. So, Jadis Ann continues on in because she's gone. Basically, if Rick is gone, she is gone.
Yeah, she's gone with him. So yeah, I can't see her back, and yeah, I can't see her coming back until the Rick movies.
Right. You can't bring her back without explaining where Rick is. And everyone would know Rick is alive, and that would destroy your season. So excuse me.
And
that was an interesting thing that I don't think we're ever going to see Polly McIntosh back. And that's weird.
I have a feeling. Well, I don't think we won't see her back on the show, but I think we'll see her when the movie comes out.
Well, absolutely. I think she'll be a huge part of that, but
and that bums me out because I think she's kind of cute, but you know,
yeah, you do. But yeah, that's so weird to think that, you know, we got rid of two pretty main characters, and Rick, of course, you know, everyone's focused on that. But you got to think there's no more Jadis Ann. She's gone.
Yeah.
So that's a revelation.
So no opener. Yeah. So I mean, poor Gabriel. You know, nobody gonna Nobody's gonna play with the one-eyed Pope there.
Oh, I saw Gabriel, and I don't know if it was the Talking Dead did the thing or it was on the 3 season. But the eye seems okay.
Huh. I wasn't. I must. I'm not paying attention to that.
Maybe 6 years he got some surgery or something.
Maybe LASIK.
LASIK, yeah, and no problem. Eugene just whipped it up. Bam.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like I want some like. I really want Eugene to pull some like Gilligan's Island shit, you know, like making stuff out of coconuts and, you know, bamboo.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Awesome.
Because I mean, seriously, the professor made some crazy shit with nothing but like vines, coconut, and bamboo.
Couldn't
you know, if Eugene can't do that, then he's just failure.
You know, they took the USS Minnow out of the opening credits because people were like, if he could do all that, why couldn't he fix that little tiny hole in that?
Yes, I know. And that's the question everybody asked. Yeah,
everybody asked. There's no answer.
He couldn't build a raft.
I did see on one of the previews I saw. It's a really great scene. It was the sneak peek from Talking Dead, and Michonne comes into the camp, and they got this new group of 5, right? And she's like, who invited them in? And Aaron goes like, I made the call. She's like, it wasn't your call to make. And little Judith like stands up to her and goes, I made the call. Michonne kind of cowered. And I was like, is Judith in charge? Like, is that possible? Because she's like half both of them. She's got the katana on her back, plus she's rocking the python, which would knock that little girl the fuck out if she shot it.
Seriously.
Like, there's no way that little girl holds on to that gun.
No.
Too big, too much firepower.
Yeah, what you didn't see at the end of the episode was what you didn't see at the end of the episode is after she shot those guys, she got back up off the ground when the guys showed up to see who saved them.
Shaking her hand like, ow, God, that hurts. The little girl, the Judith, was young Rey in Star Wars.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Nice.
So apparently
getting a little bit of fan credibility there.
Yeah, well, she's got chops. So yeah, I was okay with most of it. The Negan scene with Maggie.
Well, the fact that I mean, like Michonne just like caved. You know, Michonne couldn't stand her ground.
One tear rolls down her cheek. She's like, "All right, here, go kill him." Fuck.
Yeah. Seriously, after all the talk, you know, about how we have to be better and how, you know, this is the way, you know, Maggie's like, I can't sleep at night, and Michonne's like, okay, here you go kill him.
No, like, what? I think Maggie made the right point to Michonne and said, if you were stranded out here without your, you know, with the child, and you had to do it by yourself, he'd already be dead.
Yeah.
That was a valid point. Michonne would have killed him if he'd have killed Rick and left her with the baby. She'd have killed him.
Probably.
I have no doubt. Look at this. She's a warrior.
Yeah. But it's funny to see how, you know, a little argument like that can just completely shake her convictions.
Well, I mean, you had to move the story along. It was all about Rick this episode.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of that scene, there really was nothing else but Rick.
Well, there was a little bit of Jada saying at the beginning, which was like, oh, I think you're coming back at the end of this.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big foreshadow on that one.
And seriously, my question, like one of the things that bothered me is what the fuck was up with the Rick's horse, man? Last episode, it sees like 2 herds of zombies like 30, 40 feet away, and it freaks out and bucks Rick off. Rick's hiding in that bar. The horse is outside, and there's zombies like 3 steps away from him, just calm as shit, just waiting for Rick to come out. And I'm like, wait, what? Seriously, horse?
It grew confidence over the course of the day, and the horse became more empowered.
Yeah, until it ran away again at the end of the episode, leaving Rick on the bridge.
Then it leaves, then it strands him. Right, but it stranded him right where he needed to be.
That horse is a dick.
Well, I don't even want to get into the pulling himself off of the rebar that was about a foot outside of his body, and he didn't have room to pull himself clean. It just wouldn't have worked.
No, I mean, it was a creative attempt. Yeah, with the belt and like hauling himself up. I'll give him credit for that. That was an interesting way to try and get yourself off of that. But yeah, it didn't look like there was enough room.
I understand you wanted that rebar to really protrude through, so it didn't look like it was just a nub. I mean, you wanted it to really stick out there.
But well, I mean, honestly, if you had it sticking out like 2 inches from him, you'd realize that it went all the way through. You wouldn't need like 3 feet of rebar to realize that Rick's in trouble.
Yeah, and it would have been more realistic. But hey, he's a hero. He gets stuck.
And I'm really curious how the hell he survived all that. You know, he lost a lot of blood. You know, because at the end when you see him walking through the bridge,
wake up.
At the end, when he's crossing the bridge, like you can see the blood like dripping out of him, like he's leaving a trail on the ground, and then he gets blown halfway across the lake, the river, and then he's still fine. I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is this guy made of? I mean, I know Rick's a tough son of a bitch, but man, to survive all of that, you know, and then be loaded into a helicopter, you know, that guy's, you know, chiseled out of stone.
Maybe he is the real Pickle Rick.
But see, and one of the things that I'm curious about with these movies going forward is I'm not sure how interesting it's going to be to see Rick in a place where he is nobody. You know, Rick is going to be in a group of new people where he is absolutely nothing. You know, I'm not sure what kind of story they're going to be able to tell with that, unless Rick's going to like take over this new group now too. But
all right, well, let me hit you with this. We have assumed A and B was Whisperer's code, Alpha and Beta.
Yeah.
But now I'm not so sure that's the Whisperers.
No, I'm pretty sure it's not.
I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, okay.
Because from what it sounds like is Rick's going to be going to a different part of the country.
Yeah, he's leaving. He's gone. I mean, where he shows up in the movie is when we'll find out. But yeah, for now, we know that was his final episode of The Walking Dead. So, okay.
Yeah, final episode, but not final appearance on The Walking Dead.
Correct.
And he's still very much a part of the Walking Dead universe.
He could show up on Fear next season.
Totally.
Just saying. This could be an 8-week layoff and he could be on Fear. He really could. And no, I wouldn't be okay with that. I would be really pissed off about that.
Yeah, but I'm curious who these people are that took Rick and Jadis, because clearly they have, you know, they've got technology. If they've got a working helicopter and the fuel to fly as far as they're going, you know, the ability to probably save his life. I mean, I'm wondering if this is military or just some kind of like militia group that, you know, was thriving after the apocalypse. I'm very interested to see who has him and where he's going.
The only markings on the helicopter were a 3-circle emblem that looks amazingly like Bonnaroo's logo, and an A. So that gives us no help.
No. But yeah, I mean that's the one that, as far as Rick's stories going forward is concerned, that's the one thing I'm curious the most is who is this group of people, because they've alluded to them for the last couple seasons now. We've seen the helicopter before. We've, you know, the helipad at the junkyard and things like that. We've seen the helicopter a couple times, but we've never gotten anything as to who these people were. You know, it wasn't until last episode that we heard that there was a voice on the other end of this radio in these helicopters, you know. And the fact that they were in contact with Jadis makes me wonder like how she knew these people and what's her connection is them.
This whole thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's if you're going to do a movie after this, that's great. You're already set up. You got me intrigued. I want to know. So, yeah. You know, I'm going to watch it, of course.
You know, but at the time of watching the episode, I didn't know that there were plans for like a Rick movie. So like the fact that they kept him alive, I thought was a massive cop out.
I did too. I did as well. I was like, oh no, you can't.
Like when he blew up that bridge and you saw everything flying, I was okay with that. I'm like, okay, if this is going to be Rick's death, I am fine with that. That is a good way for Rick to go.
Agreed. I agree with
you. And like with everybody watching, to see Rick make this ultimate sacrifice to save all these people, even people that were sick of him and were, kind of wanted to see him go, to put himself out there like that, to make that kind of sacrifice to save all these people. I think that would have been the perfect ending for Rick, because Rick has always been that protector.
If they done it just like that, did the explosion, Daryl cries, because when Daryl cries, we all cry. So Daryl
That's
cries, right. Daryl walks off into the woods, and then you cut to the Judith scene, and you leave that Ann shit out. Then when you go back to make your movie, you open with the Ann scene. Now, oh, Rick's still alive. Oh shit.
Yeah, now keep that shit a secret a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree. It should have been a secret.
Yeah, just say Rick's final episode, leave it looking like he's dead, and then next year, say, hey, we're making a movie. Rick's alive. I still would have felt a little bit cheated about that, but I would have been a bit more interested too.
But they got me. They got me with the Judith Grimes thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as they cut to I heard the voice, and of course, I didn't notice who the voice was. But when they run out in the woods and I see a little girl, I'm like, oh, they time jumped. Okay. And then she reaches down for the hat, and I was like, oh yeah, that's righteous.
Well, I saw a picture online before the episode of that scene of the girl with the hat, and I thought like someone's like, oh, it's Judith Grimes. I'm like, oh, is this some kind of like crazy ass cosplay or something like that? And then when the episode rolled, I'm like, okay, this, I don't know where somebody got that image, but somebody posted that picture, and
it will be a crazy cosplay next convention season, I guarantee.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see a bunch of little girls with samurai swords and pistols and cowboy hat and sheriff hat,
little ass kickers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're setting Judith. I mean, Judith looks like a badass. I mean, she's carrying like a little mini katana and her daddy's gun.
I know. That's why she's walking away with the monkey at the end of this.
Well, where did she find the gun? I'm wondering where they found the gun from, because Rick was holding onto that when he got blown up.
Good point.
It's like Luke's. It's Luke's lightsaber. At the end of like Return of the Jedi or Empire, when it gets it disappears at the end of Jet Empire, then it shows up in Force Awakens and Maz Kanata's possession.
Because they cut his hand off, falls down the chute, right?
Yeah.
Like that should have been the end of Luke's lightsaber.
You'd think so. It fell down a chute in Cloud City. It probably landed somewhere in the middle of the planet, which I'm guessing Cloud City is, the planet itself is not very solid. So how they found that, I'm very curious.
We're going to break down Star Wars now and tell you why it's all fucked up.
I heard a new rumor today about Episode 9, which could be very interesting.
What'd you hear?
So Matt, they announced a while back that Matt Smith, who was the 11th Doctor was in the cast for this in an unknown role. Okay. And apparently, according to some leak that was posted today, Matt Smith is going to be playing a young Palpatine. Don't know if there's any truth to that. We still got like a little over a year to go before the next movie. So it'll be a while before we know anything for sure, but I could see Matt Smith playing a younger Palpatine.
Okay, I can do that. I'm really fascinated by, and The Walking Dead falls perfectly into this with these movies and fear. We realized a long time ago, we've talked about it, that you can set up a Walking Dead story anywhere in America, anywhere in the world.
Oh yeah, and, definitely.
Scott Gimble did say that we are going international next, eventually.
Yeah, I mean, they said they have plans for some other series.
Yeah, so eventually we're going international, which is cool. And I always like the idea that you can do that. And now we're seeing them do it.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Walking Dead in Canada.
Oh yeah, eh?
I want some polite zombies. Is it okay if I bite you, eh?
I'm gonna bite you, eh? Here, would you like a donut? Don't turn out the lights.
Out of the way, hosehead.
Because all Canadians are scared of the dark,
That's right. Oh, thank you. How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. No, but I was also going to say Game of Thrones is doing this prequel to Game of Thrones.
The Long Night.
the Long Night with, and they're going to do Land the Clever and Bran the Builder. And these are fascinating characters brought up in the lore of Westeros that you can go back and tell stories. So you have 6,000 years of history in Westeros you can cull from.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like with the books, like George R.R. Martin built this amazing world, and he didn't even have like with Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, like he fleshed out this massive world, but like in the novels, he gave you a bunch of like information that you didn't need to progress the story. Like he would introduce a character and then like spend 3 pages on that character's like family lineage and where they were from and what they settled. Whereas George R.R. Martin, you know, through backstory itself, like, set up this entire world and like, you know, gave you these historical figures without browbeating you about it and like just bashing you over the head like who these people were. So there's this very rich history that's not explored, but there is a lot of interest in like who these characters were and what happened before the events of Game of Thrones.
I like that idea that you can like George R.R. Martin and J.K. Rowling, and George Lucas for that matter, they just built the sandbox, and then they said, okay, now you can come play in it, and you can tell different stories, and I'll give you a little bit of the history, and you can fill in the rest.
Well, here's the thing with J.K. Rowling, though, is J.K. Rowling has a very large part with the rest of the Harry Potter universe, like the Fantastic Beasts movies. She's still writing those.
Yeah, but she's not always going to. She'll
but
give up the control to somebody else and let them write a series. But
as far as I know, she's writing all 5 of the Fantastic Beasts movies, on top of, you know, the stories that
relatively young.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I mean, like she seems to have more control over this universe than anybody else has had over any of these other universes.
Okay, and that's what George Lucas had until he gave it up to Disney. He had
true, but you know, at the same time, whereas he had final say over what people could do, you know, there were hundreds and hundreds of stories that were not George Lucas. While they were ultimately approved by him, you know, it was like I don't know how many different writers had really just expanded this universe for him.
Yeah, the Star Wars universe, Star Trek universe, both. They have hundreds of writers that have written books and different things. And then it's like comic books, how you can get one series of an author for, you know, 8 issues of a book, and you got a nice trade, and then you hand it off to a new writer, and you can bring in different things.
Yeah, I mean, but for the most part, though, like a lot of these characters aren't really associated to a single person. I mean, you get some that are iconic, you know, like you'll always think of Stan Lee when you think of like the core Marvel characters because Stan Lee created these people. But, you know, ultimately they weren't Stan's characters. You know, Stan gave you the prototype for these characters, and the other people like run with them eventually.
Right. He built the sandbox and then playing it.
And that's a great example of building the sandbox. But like J.K. Rowling, she built the sandbox, but she still has complete control over the sandbox. Like she's like, okay, you gotta play in here, but you know, here are the rules of what you can do, and like actually, you know, here's my story. You can kind of play with this. Yeah, but like
this is Trump's America, and you can be a sandbox right now. This guy's empowered assholes to a whole new level.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of the science fiction, science fantasy stuff that these people have created and have allowed others to really run with. Lucas is a great example of that, as far as letting so many other people have access to this universe to write these stories that people want to tell.
All right, if you could dive into Preacher, would you write? Like, would you take on characters from Preacher in a different story?
Possibly.
I know you love Garth Ennis.
Yeah, if I felt I could do it justice.
What story would you want to do a story in?
I'd love to see some more Cassidy backstory.
Okay, Cassidy'd be perfect.
Cassidy's 100 years old. There's a lot of stuff you could tell. I mean, he hinted at things that, you know, he got into, you know, like you know, some of the stuff like in the 60s and 70s, like some of the psychedelics and the beat people he lived with and hung out with, you know, there could be some amazing stories there.
Yeah, I agree. Cassidy is the deepest vein to pull from because there's so much history. I want TC. I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened at that petting zoo.
Oh, are you talking? Oh, are you talking TV show or the comic series?
Yeah, a little bit of both, but
yeah, well, because the petting zoo was the TV series. You know, there's nothing about that in the comic books, but like, great. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see what happened there. You could like, yeah, that was it. That was one of the greatest parts of this last season of Preacher was the petting zoo reference.
I might like
and I don't know. I don't know why I loved it as much as I did because I didn't love the way they did Jody and TC for the series, but that bit harkened the most to who TC was as like this core character.
That was the best bit. It was so good.
It really was. It was the shiny gem in the midst of the turd that was that third season.
I haven't even heard if there's a fourth yet.
Yeah, neither have I.
That's not good news.
Well, usually, I mean, I don't know if the networks have done it. Well, it's the start of the season, so like most networks haven't done their upfronts yet. As far like the cable networks, they operate on a different schedule, so their upfronts aren't the same thing as like the big major networks. But I mean, we're only a few months out of Preacher having ended, so it's not surprising that we haven't heard anything yet.
All right, I'll let it slide, and maybe Netflix picks it up anyways.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, my hope would be that if Netflix picked it up, they'd do it right. But
like they did Iron Fist.
I actually liked Iron Fist.
I hated Iron Fist.
The second season of Iron Fist I thought was so much better. Like I liked the first season. I know a lot of people hated it. I enjoyed the first season. I thought the second season was so much better though.
Well, maybe.
And especially the way they ended the second season, I was really excited for a third season because they left so much potential open. You know, they were starting to dive into like the Ed Brubaker stuff. Like when Ed Brubaker relaunched Iron Fist, you know, a decade ago with Marvel, that was some of the best Iron Fist stories I've ever read. You know, he introduced the whole like the 7 or 8 hidden cities along with Kunlun and the different immortal weapons. There was some great stuff. You know, the character Orson Randall that Danny was looking for at the end was a Brubaker character. Right. You know, he was the Iron Fist before Danny Rand. You know, so they started introducing some interesting concepts. Ultimately, my hope was that they'd stop Iron Fist and Luke Cage and just do Heroes for Hire. You know, bring in Luke Cage and Misty Knight, Danny Rand and Colleen Wing, and just do Heroes for Hire, like all 4 of those characters in one series, just having fun. Because like I didn't love the second season of Luke Cage, but the best episode that season was the Luke Cage Iron Fist team up episode. That was by far the best episode of that season.
I like the Luke Cage far better than any other one except for Daredevil. Daredevil was obviously the number one. It's a great show.
Yeah, Daredevil is amazing. I mean,
Jessica Jones slow, and I did not like Iron Fist, but I like Luke Cage.
Luke Cage is probably my least favorite of the 4. And especially after second season, like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but the second season of Luke Cage felt very ethnic. It felt like, you know, I'm white. I don't know if I should be watching this. You know,
I don't like Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean,
I love Atlanta, but I always feel like maybe I shouldn't be watching this.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the fact that they dropped the N-word so freely and so often in that second season, like where they didn't use it at all in the first season, it's like, okay, wait. Okay, you know, is this really all inclusive now, or is this more, hey, you know, we're catering towards a specific demographic?
Right. I don't want to get all white privilegey, but
no, seriously, no.
If I'm not allowed to say a word, you shouldn't put it on a show you expect me to watch over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you want to drop it once in a while, that's your thing. It's yours. You can take it back. But
okay, I was surprised as shit. Like, I watched Black Lightning, and I'm not loving the second season so far, but the CW dropped the N-word in the first episode of the second season of Black Lightning, and I was shocked as hell. I didn't think you could use it on network television.
Well, I mean, yeah, not on net. Well, I guess it's a network. It's kind of a network.
But like the last time I remember hearing it on like a network TV show was like 21 Jump Street in the 80s. You know, when it wasn't nearly as frowned upon as it is now. You know, it was okay for white people. No, it was actually their chief, the black guy. I can't remember his name. He dropped the word.
Ice Cube.
No, not the movie.
Ice Cube.
But no, it was in Black Lightning. Remember the comedian Robert Townsend?
Yes, I do.
He's been in the first couple episodes of Black Lightning, and he dropped the N-word. Like he referred to himself as a house N-word.
Gotcha.
And like I had to pause it. I'm like, wait a minute, did he say what I think he said? I rewound it and watched. I'm like, yeah, he dropped the N-word on Channel 5.
How come
which was kind of surprising.
Never been called out as a racist.
What was that?
How come Quentin Tarantino has never been called out as a racist? He dropped that word more than anyone.
What, in Django Unchained?
In Django, in Pulp, in the Hateful Eight. It's all over the place.
You know, I think he writes like, well, I mean, if he's writing, you know, black characters saying the word, it seems to be okay because he's not using it in a derogatory sense. Whereas unless he's specifically writing it as a white racist character, then that seems to be okay too. Because it kind of comes into that satire, you know,
the thing,
category.
Again, I don't want to get all white privilegey, but there's a great line in Dogma that I'm not allowed to quote, and it's fantastic line, but it's do you know Jesus? And Chris Rock says, know him. He owes me $12.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it's just a great line. And I want to use it so often, but I can't.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I don't mean it disrespectfully, and I don't mean it to be racially insensitive.
I mean, the fact that you can't quote a movie quote where they use that word. You can't sing a song where they use that word. Like I love NWA, but like when I'm singing along with them, like I have to censor myself because even in my car by myself, I'm not going to say that word, you know?
I do. I'm sorry. You can send the hate mail. If I'm in my car and I'm listening to NWA, which happens, I'm going to
so same here.
I'm going to sing the song. I mean, I'm not stopping for the guy next to me. I'm like, if he rolls down his window and says something, I'm like, dude, I am bumping NWA right now. Get off my tip. Doesn't happen a lot here. But...
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, I get that. I mean, it's even in song. Like, I mean, like there was a story I saw a couple months ago about some rapper doing a concert, and this white girl came on stage and he allowed her to sing, like, rap his song, and that word was in the song a couple times, and she said it the first time and people kind of looked at it funny, and she said it the second time and he stopped the song. He's like, look, you shouldn't use that word. Even though it's part of the song.
Bring me up on stage.
Yeah. You know, why are you going to make me censor myself if I'm singing your song? You know, I get that. You know, she's a white girl. She doesn't know better. She was probably drunk off her ass.
Paul McCartney pulls me on stage and says, all right, help me sing Hey Jude, but don't say Jude. What?
Yeah.
This show has devolved completely from The Walking Dead into...
It really has, because there was about 10 minutes of conversation for the episode, and we had like an hour to fill.
But this is exactly what I want this show to become, and it's why I want to change the name and all that. But
dude, if we want to do a show just talking about random stuff, I'm okay with that too, because there's plenty of stuff to talk about.
I want to do a podcast called Why We Love. And each week we'll take a different why we love Star Wars, why we love NWA. It doesn't matter. Whatever
not at all.
We can love for a week. And we can, have people on that love that stuff too. And I think that would be fun. Instead of, not that I don't enjoy the you and me banter.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Witty as fuck, and it's always fun for me.
But it's also nice. It's also nice to have other voices too.
Yeah, we've had a couple people do guest spots on this show, and it's always gone pretty well.
So, yeah. We should have some more people come on and do some stuff with us every now and then. I'd totally be okay with that.
All right, let me try to get if anybody wants to be a guest next week, let me know. You can be on the
show. Who's the girl you brought on a few times before? Her and her boyfriend. The blonde.
Mel. Melody and then Elvis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to him.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll find somebody. We'll get.
If we could get Biller back on for an episode,
I would love to have Biller on for an episode. Yeah, maybe like the mid-season break. We'll try to.
Yeah, that'd be a great time to have a group chat.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. A midway round table, as you were.
Yeah,
I might do that. Yeah, we might do that. A battle royale. It'll be crazy. No, everybody will be talking over everybody else. It'll be mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is the one thing that is kind of crazy about having those extra people on is like all of us talking over each other, but
yeah, because
it's entertaining as shit.
It's just us, like right now.
This is true.
So
yeah,
we had a couple more mugs, and it's gonna get nuts.
It is entertaining as shit, though, having some extra people here to share their opinions with us.
It really is. I have a list on my computer. Let's pull that up. I have to break all this stuff down, but nobody's in the chat anyways.
We don't have Marcus and HD in there?
No, I haven't seen it. So I got a list on why we love. And I wrote some ideas. Like I got a text document here. And if it would just fucking open, I would read it to you. Because we got nothing else to do with this episode. There wasn't much to talk about after Rick.
There really wasn't.
We covered it. It was a long episode leading up to, oh wow, Judith.
Yeah, I feel like seriously, like half the episode is like Rick like hanging onto that horse, just walking along the road.
Right, and we get it. He's got to wake up, and everybody's going to tell him that. So, it's still opening, by the way. All right, here it is. It's enormous. It's an enormous size document because I've written so much. I really haven't. Oh, now it's not responding.
That sounds like my email at work today.
It'll lock me out of everything. All right, here's what I got. I have 27 listed so far.
Okay.
All right, and not all of these will apply to you. So,
fair enough.
You're going to feel free to knock out on a few. I have why we love Star Wars, why we love The Walking Dead, why we love Sons of Anarchy, why we love the 80s, why we love the 90s, why we love bad music, why we love the Beatles, Big Brother, Survivor, music festivals, hockey, fantasy football, Ferris Bueller, Leonardo DiCaprio.
That was all you.
Oh, that's all me. Transmetropolitan, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh God, I could go. I love that one.
Jeff Goldblum. Because that needs to be an episode.
Oh, that'd be a great episode.
Scarlett Johansson, breweries, weddings, Animal House, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Blood Harps, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with. Scientology.
I've heard the name.
Scientology, cosplay, Batman, and the Clockwork Orange. So it's a very eclectic list.
With the exception of like things like Big Brother and Survivor that I know nothing about really, I think I could probably hang on most of those topics.
All right, the Blood Harps it's fucking fascinating story. I really want to do a movie or a book about it, but it's these two brothers that it was the river pirates, the end of slavery, the end of the Civil War. And the Blood Harps were the first two real serial killers in America.
Okay.
And they would go out and they would just go through the woods and find people in cabins, kill them, take all their stuff, and bail. So eventually there became, bounties out for their arrest and their lives. And they came across the guy. They came across the guy in some Kentucky town, and they didn't kill him. And he gave them gunpowder and sent them on their way, and they left him alive. And the militia came by the next day and picked him up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I gave them guns and stuff. I know where they're going." Followed them. Ended up shooting one of them, and then the other one killed another pirate that had a bounty and went to collect the bounty, and then people realized who he was and they shot him.
Oh, it sounds like something that happened in Florida.
It's Kentucky, actually. But fascinating story. I saw a thing on A&E on it once, and I've just been intrigued with it ever since.
Okay.
And me doing an episode on Scientology. Oh man, I can't tell you how much I love Scientology. It's the most fascinating religion on the face of the
earth. No, definitely. Well, religion in quotes, religion.
Yeah, in quotes. It's a cult. It's a total cult. And but I love the genius behind it. And not just Miscavige and what he's done with it. I mean,
but like back to L. Ron Hubbard and Carl Sagan.
L. Ron Hubbard building the foundation of the biggest scam in the world
on a bet.
Oh man, he's so great. if you could tell me that crooked tooth just con man could get that many people to follow him and just give them all of their money,
and considering he was a hack writer at best,
the best story he ever wrote was Scientology.
Yeah, I mean Dianetics is like if it wasn't for Dianetics, nobody would remember L. Ron Hubbard.
So by all means, keep a list of things that you want to do a show on, because there seems to be a lot we can cull from for this.
Oh yeah, we could definitely make this into a series.
Because it'll give us a week to do a little prep, and we can actually think about why we love things, and and I'm gonna do like a little. I'll probably do like a rant at the beginning or at the end or something.
Okay.
Jerry's final thought.
Like a Bill Maher, little final moment.
Yeah, just to wrap it up, this is really why we love this shit. So that's what you get to look forward to. You get 3 more episodes of Where's Carl? And then we might transition fairly quickly into Why We Love. And I think Why We Love would be a fantastic live podcast.
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
We could do Why We Love in a brewery. And we could do it on any subject. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's the best part. I know some people around, the spheres and the social medias. And I know for like the Big Brother show, I can get us a Big Brother player.
I
think I can get a Survivor player. I know I can get a couple of Suicide Girls. So, I mean, those would just be fun podcasts.
Yeah, definitely.
I want Atomic to come on. I want to get the Atomic one on a podcast.
That'd be fun.
Why I love comic books.
I could probably get him over here for like us do like him and I together on one end.
All right. Well, we got to do that because I need him for one. If one of the Why We Love has to have Atomic.
Because he lives like 5 minutes away from me now.
Oh yeah. How's he doing?
Good. Yeah. They live. Him and Carolyn are in Walnut now. They're like right down the street from me.
Kalima Burger, you fuckers.
Seriously, he lives like walking distance from Kalima Burger.
The bitch. I love Kalima so much.
Yeah, I mean, like if from where Kalima Burger is, if you go up the hill, like a quarter mile, he's right there.
Like on the other side of the liquor store. Behind the liquor store?
Behind the liquor store, yeah.
For those of you, nobody's listening. If you're in California,
Kalima Burger is pretty fucking fantastic.
Kalima Burger, proud sponsor of Monkey Caviar.
They don't know it, but yeah, the proud sponsor.
They don't know. Hey,
we're proud sponsors of Kalima Burger.
Proud sponsor of Kalima Burger. Best chili cheese fries around.
Oh god, those are fucking amazing, aren't they?
They are. They're awful for you, but they're so good.
Yeah, they are. Their breakfast burritos with chili. Oh,
I have never had a breakfast burrito from there. Oh,
I have. It was pretty amazing. Well, especially when you throw some of that chili in there. Oh.
See, that's why I'm going to talk her. We're going to have to come out to the West Coast and do the show live from the West Coast. Just going to have to happen.
Yeah.
Might have to be.
I forgot to bring this up, you know.
Oh, is that like my birthday present that you got me?
It could be.
I mean, I noticed I didn't get a card.
I don't have an address.
Well, I could give you that. When you posted it, the first picture you showed me of it, I was like, oh, and I got this. And I was like, oh, that's mine.
Well, when my work friend gave it to me, I'm like, oh, I know somebody's going to be jealous of this.
Yes. 100%. That's beautiful. We should
get
and Guerrero on the show.
Oh, that would be awesome. If we could pull that. Fuck Talking Dead. She can be on Monkey Caviar.
Why we love Michonne with our one viewer. Woo! That's Nielsen high score.
Well, apparently Pollyanna McIntosh was on the Channel 5 News this morning out here. I didn't see it because it was after I went to work, but she made an appearance on there talking about last night's episode of Walking Dead.
Oh, it was good. I'm gonna watch Manifest. I gotta watch my Manifest.
Manifest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like this show or not. But it was it just started. It's on NBC. It's the plane disappears for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And the people on board are uninterrupted. And
so to them, they've been gone for a day.
For them, they had just had a flight with turbulence, and they came back and they had been missing 5 years. And one of the passengers is a twin. So now there's 5-year difference between the twins.
That's kind of fun. That's actually kind of brilliant.
Like, yeah, except they're boy and a girl. So unfortunately, it's not. This is what you're going to look like in 5 years.
Interesting.
And now they all have kind of like superpower telekinesis. They hear things, and it's gonna be fine until they explain it.
Yeah,
and that's when all shows die. Like Lost, once you explained it, it sucked. Heroes,
yeah.
Oh, theory.
Okay.
Theory. All right. So the Long Night. The Long Night ends with a red comet streaking.
I could see that.
Westeros. That's the end of the Age of Dragons, and then the restart of the Age of Dragons comes at where we are now.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
the comet comes when Dany's eggs hatch.
Because I mean, I believe they referenced the Long Night in the books. You know, like that was like the last like real big winter. Yeah, or like it was one of the biggest winter.
It's the creation of the White Walkers from the Children of the Forest, and Bran building the wall to keep them out. So, yeah, that should be fun. But let's hold off until he ends this one.
I mean, like there were talks of like 5 different prequel series they were going to tell. You know, like, and in fact, there's still other series they're still working on. There, we might get more Game of Thrones prequel series.
I'm cool with that. Like I said, the same with the Walking
Dead.
Like if you can,
like I said, you know,
shows if you're doing different things like that. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Definitely.
You take a show like. Let me think of a good one here. I don't know, a show that ended well in a nice, like a 7-season show. 7 seasons, it ends, you have a nice ending. Now you have this universe that you can still play with, and after 7 seasons, you have fans. So you can do different things, and if you have 10 years of stories to tell me 10 years of stories in your world. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, like Sons of Anarchy.
To be cool.
Sons of Anarchy.
All right, but
you know, they're
sucks.
Yeah. What?
Mayans is not good.
It's not Sons of Anarchy. I'm enjoying it. It's not. There are things I wish were better, but you know, it's definitely not as good as Sons of Anarchy was.
Why we love Sons of Anarchy? I'll do that show, But why we love Mayans, MC?
But like I'm willing to look past the first season and think, okay, what this is like the setup, and hopefully that the follow-up season will be better. But like I haven't hated Mayans.
Okay.
Right. But it is very different from Sons of Anarchy. So if you're expecting a Sons of Anarchy clone, you're going to be disappointed.
I guess I wanted more clone than I got.
Yeah, I mean, it is nothing like what Sons of Anarchy was.
Not that there's not characters that I find interesting. They just don't focus on the characters. Like, just give me more Chucky.
I one of my favorite characters so far is Coco. I think Coco's got some of the most interesting backstory out of all of them.
Yeah, Coco's story is great, and it's the Z and his brother. That's the story that sucks. Like everyone else's story around them is great.
Yeah, I mean, they really haven't focused on anybody but either you get a bit of Coco, and it's all Ezekiel and Angel. Yeah. And they're really not developing any of those stories. Like, you're not getting anything about these supporting characters. Even the other guy that's in Angel's little group that was working with the rebels, the bigger guy. I don't even know his name.
I don't know his name. The guy that's running the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know his name. We haven't got shit about him. We know nothing about the president, about the guys like the head of the council. There's nothing. There's very little character development. So there's very little to keep you interested in all these different characters. Whereas Sons of Anarchy, like early on, like they gave you all these characters and they made you invested in these characters.
They played a better game of making me care, because obviously you care about Jax Teller from the get-go because his wife, the crack whore and the baby and all that. You are
but not even Jackson. Like everybody in that club was like they gave you something about them early on.
They made even Opie sympathetic. You were totally in with Opie from the beginning.
Opie.
You were totally in with Half Sack.
Bobby Elvis and Chibs
Chigs
and Tig.
Chigs and Tig kind of came later. Like they didn't focus on them so much up front. But they were strong characters early on, even still. When they got into Tig, I wish that would be the next show. It's just the fucking Tig show. It would be great.
but like even though they didn't focus on those characters a lot, like they made you really like those characters. Like they gave them plenty of personality.
Yeah, and especially with Tig, they gave him all the good fucking comedy lines in the first.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he had every good drop line that was in that show.
Yeah, Tig was great. I mean, Kim Coates, I don't think anybody else could have done that role but him.
And then when you bring in is it Walton Goggins?
Walton Goggins as the prostitute.
When you bring that bit in, that is when it gets amazing.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I've always liked Walton Goggins since like The Shield. But to see him on Sons of Anarchy blew my mind.
And to see all the different Shield Easter eggs in it, they're just so bad.
Like everybody from the Shield was in that show.
I mean, hell, Michael Chiklis kills Jax. Spoiler alert.
I mean, pretty much like every main player from the Shield was in Sons of Anarchy in at least one episode.
In some form or another, yeah.
Yeah, some of them had bigger roles than others, but yeah, like everybody, like every main player from that show had a role in the series.
All right,
and that was pretty awesome.
Our conversation, but I'm going to log out of this. So
okay.
We stopped talking about The Walking Dead a long time ago. So if you're still watching, I'm shocked.
All I want to say at this point is tomorrow's the 6th. Please go out and vote. Do your part. It's up to us. Make your voice heard. Go vote, please.
Blue wave. I'm gonna be so disappointed tomorrow. It's gonna be tragic. I've set myself up for it's gonna be bad. All right, but yeah,
I am prepared. I'm prepared for it.
All right, go vote. We'll see y'all next week.